Welcome into Tapping Vegas, brought to you by Better and Green. Today we're breaking down UFC Fight Night between Kevin Vallejos and Josh Emmett, a battle of the strikers. Last week, a pretty decent week for us, Bobby. I know two of our props hit. The Holloway over 4.5 or over 4 rounds, or to start round 4. That one hit with ease, and then we also had the Dober money line, which then people started to say, there was some sketchy stuff going on. And it's a little weird that both times you and me have been on the right side of these that end up getting pulled or looked at. We
Hell
better be
yeah.
careful about hitting some of these bets because people might start looking into us a bit.
Right. Insider scoop going on with that. And the Oliveira domination. I was one of the few people that was saying Oliveira might
You
actually
did?
take that man down and give him that savage life.
You did it. And that's exactly what happened, Bobby. You called that. And Parker had the best day of everybody last week. So, Parker, hey, congratulations on winning another card. Let's get into 5 fights to win you guys money. We're just going to break down, starting with Marwan Rahiki and Harry Hardwick. Bobby, take it away.
Yeah, this fight, like all the fights on this main card we're going to be covering, are unfortunately very lackluster. But I mean, they would make a great, maybe White House card type of main event situation on these. Just a bit too good for just a regular old fight night. I think we're getting kind of spoiled here. Yeah, that's sarcasm for some of you. Get a little carried away. I know you can't help yourselves. But yeah, so follow us on Tapology to see all of our picks for the entire card. But starting off with Rahiki here, and Harry Hardwick. This one I've kind of bounced around on, simply because I'm just not that impressed by Rahiki. I mean, he's only 7 fights into his pro career, so a lot of room to grow, right? Hardwick definitely has a lot more experience, 13-4-1. He's coming from Cage Warriors. You hear us on this show speak very highly of Cage Warriors quite frequently. It's a great European feeder organization for the UFC. And look, I understand Hardwick had, what's arguably in social media kind of been dubbed one of the worst UFC debuts of all time when you're TKO'd by leg kicks like 15 seconds, I think it was, in the round 1 or something ridiculous.
It
And
was
I get
bad.
that, right? I understand that that's pretty bad. But it's just one of those things where it's like, I'm just, for some reason, in my plums, wanting to kind of chalk that up to just a freak, UFC debut jitters type of situation where sometimes in your UFC debut, you can really go off the rails, right? You can really just have a rough go of it, but then you start to rebound. So we've seen a lot of fighters who have lost, their debut, but have, after that loss, went on to have a long career. I mean, we've had champions who've lost their debut, right? Like, just right off the top of my head, I'm thinking about like Magomed Ankalaev lost his debut. Bilal Muhammad had lost his debut. you know. So I really think, that it's something that can be overcome. And especially when it comes to Rahiki here, my main concern with Rahiki is just kind of watching his tape and everything kind of on the Australian regional scene. What's kind of interesting to me is he's kind of known as a striker, which is obviously being finished by strikes a bad thing for Hardwick in this fight. But it kind of looks like he's susceptible to grappling. Hardwick has a few grappling finishes, some submission finishes on his record, nothing too crazy. I believe it's like 31% or something like that of his wins have come by sub. Yep, 31% by sub, according to Tapology. He had a pretty slick finish over Vitor Estevam in 2023 through a nice little rear naked. Just kind of makes me wonder, Hardwick's a guy who, yes, there's a pretty big age gap. He's 31 versus 23. But this isn't something crazy like we saw last week with Raul Rojas
Yeah.
Jr. and Rob Font type of situation. So I'm not reading too much into that. Both guys should be in the prime of their career, especially Hardwick. If anything, Rafiki. I keep wanting to call him Rafiki now that I was joking and now it's serious. Rahiki, obviously, if anything, could grow at the ripe age of 23. Still a lot to learn. So what I'm getting at with that is I just feel like Hardwick has a lot more to fight for. When your back's against the wall, sometimes you kind of rise to the occasion. And, he's kind of heard everything from social media. He's kind of already been, put through the ringer as a result of losing that debut. He's kind of at this point, you have another pretty dominating loss. You're looking at getting cut. And I think he also has, experienced some training with Paddy Pimblett and everything. Look, I get Paddy Pimblett just lost his last fight. This is a what have you done for me lately ass sport. But Hardwick's just interesting. Something, like I said, I can't really articulate anything other than my plums. So I get it if you don't trust my plums on this. I'm a little scared to trust them too. But you know what? Sometimes you got to set them on the table. And if they get singed, they get singed. Hair grows back, right? So Harry Hardwick, especially when you're getting odds like this, it's just who I'm going to be with. Hopefully he can, have something to fight for, overcome that debut hurdle, get a little slick sub finish because, Rahiki's kind of struggled with people who kind of grapple him from the Australian regional scene, that type of thing. And maybe, just maybe, he can at least get a decision, maybe wet blanket. It'd be boring, but hey, a win's a win. If he gets a sub, all the better. It makes even more of a exclamation mark, if you will, on his win. And when you're getting him at a plus 210, I'm just going to take money line because it's already too risky. So I'm not going to get crazy with any type of method or anything. Rahiki's a minus 258. I know that Contender Series debut was phenomenal, but I mean, it is what it is. You got 91% of bets are on Rahiki. No surprise there. 9% on Hardwick. So it's not like Vegas is going to cry if we have an upset. I mean, last week we saw upsets I didn't expect to see, right? Yeah. Vallejos, did not expect to see that. That was the main one that sticks off.
I got to say, I called that one on our website, though, for premium members.
Oh, look at that.
Plus 550.
Look at you. Beautiful. Beautiful. Look at you. Yeah, that one completely shocked me. So kudos to you because that whole Paul Craig thing and flopping around just really soured me on Vallejos. I was like, never again. But hey, I missed out. And there was a few others that we saw. So that's just kind of what makes me think, maybe Hardwick's still got something left in the tank, right? We're gonna find out because I mean it's plus 210. So just why not? Because when you have something that's, screaming at you with those odds, like Cody Garbrandt, that's the other guy that won. I mean, granted, he won because, he lost his testicles, but didn't expect that. Didn't expect Cody Brundage to put up the fight that he put up against Dante Johnson. I thought he would get absolutely steamrolled. So those are the main surprises I'm kind of thinking of that I didn't really anticipate, that I was wrong about. So yeah, what do you think?
You almost flipped me to Hardwick, almost, because I think you brought up a lot of good points, and I think I am going to be a little easier on him now with some of the stuff you said, because that was one of the worst intros to a fighter that we've ever seen. He got absolutely decimated.
It was bad.
But this is not because of how much I love Rahiki, is why I'm on him, because if you watch that fight, he's getting clobbered. I need to look up the guy's name. Anais Malumba. He was rocking Rahiki's shit. It was horrible. I thought he was knocked out maybe twice. Or there's going to be... if you had a judge that was more trigger happy about jumping in and stopping fights, that fight would have been stopped early in the first. But it turns around. He survived. It made it to round 2. And then ends up getting the striking finish himself. So we saw Rahiki just absolutely dog his way through it and just be incredibly tough. Whereas with Hardwick, it shows low fight IQ, I think. The fact that he was just taking those shots to the point that he couldn't stand. And then, the fight got called off because the dude's laying on the ground and he can't get back up. Versus we see this other dude who just gets smoked, and there's a guy clobbering on top of him, and he just keeps going. That image, I think, is just too much for me. if there was like a little bit of sharp money coming in, I'd say even maybe like a 10% sharp money. And I would say keep your eye on the money here for this fight, because if it does start shifting, I would probably start leaning more towards Hardwick. It's actually 9% of bets on Hardwick, but only 7% of the money. You almost always see a small sharp edge towards the underdogs, because they know the more you don't have to hit as many underdogs to be profitable. You have a 2% sharp edge onto Rahiki at minus 258. That's, I think, just too much for me to ignore. So I'm going to take Rahiki. I think what is a knockout for Rahiki? I think I'm going to just play it safe with him, because once again, I don't think Rahiki's very good. Yeah, Rahiki KO, TKO at plus 120. I think I would just suck it up and take the minus 258 on his money line and just say, the dude kind of, actually what I would do is, I'm probably not going to bet this fight, but that's what I would do, is I'd just be on Rahiki at the minus 258 just to be safe, because I could see this going to a decision. Like you said, he's not really the grappling guy. It's not going to be a submission win from him either.
Right.
Let's talk about the next one. This one I feel much better about. This is Andre Fili versus Jose Delgado. Delgado minus 380 favorite. I believe that's moved quite a bit since yesterday. I believe he was minus 2 something yesterday. I went into it thinking I would be on the Fili side. I always watch my tape and do all my work before I look at the odds, because I don't want that to convince me. It feels a little high, especially now, the minus 380. I feel like we've lost all the value that we had on Delgado, but man, he's a good striker. And once again, we're talking about the sharp money. 93% of bets on Delgado. It's like, how do you get sharp money? He gets a 4% sharp money lean. I got that backwards. 97% of bets, 93% of the money. So 4% sharp lean on Andre Fili, but that means he's got 3% of the bets and 7%. So Jose Delgado minus 380, man. I think I like Delgado KO. So I'm going to find out what those odds are here. Delgado KO minus 110. I mean, I hate that we're getting a single method that's still at a minus number, but minus 110 is basically like a spread in football. So I would do that. Jose Delgado by KO. Fili, I really like Fili, but I feel like he's pretty finishable at this point in his career. So that's unfortunately the way I'm leaning. What do you think, Bobby?
Yeah, I can't really disagree too much with this. I mean, I like Andre Fili.
Yeah.
He's been around in the UFC for such a long time. He's been around, gosh, since 2013 was when he made his debut. Funny enough, he was one of those guys who won his debut. Missed weight in his debut as well. Not a good look. But hey, he's went on to have a really good career ever since then. So since 2013, he's been in. And we just know who he is at this point in his career, right? In his last 5 fights, he is 3-2, which isn't as bad as I thought coming into this. Before I started taking a closer look, I was remembering that little skid that he started to have from like January 2020 up until 2022. When he was just like, no contest, was in the middle of losing to Bryce Mitchell, Joe Anderson Brito, Shane Shapiro in a grappling match, etc. So win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. If we follow that current pattern, he's due for a loss. He's due for a loss. So there's some hard-hitting insight in addition to everything I just gave you. So there's that. Plus, also, the main thing that kind of worries me is, the age difference isn't crazy, but it is definitely the wear and tear. I don't think this is a situation where he's benefiting from like a veteran edge, like maybe Hardwick is. This is just like a lot of wear and tear on Fili here.
A lot.
Delgado is definitely young. 27 versus 35 is not huge physically, from an age perspective. But that fight experience is a lot to have to, work around all the concussions and everything else. I mean, I remember this guy from the Contender Series a few years ago, and I was like, hey, this is a guy to watch, and he's proven that true so far, right? Because Connor
Right.
Matthews round 1 finish, Hyder Emil, that was a fun fight for as long as it lasted. That was really
Yeah.
great last year. Um, Finished him. That's a tough guy to finish and to do it in round 1. And then, he missed weight against Nathaniel Wood this past October. So there could be some issues with that going forward. So he might have to move up a weight class or figure something out. But as long as this fight stays intact and he doesn't miss too crazy, I think he's going to win because there's no shame in losing to Nathaniel Wood. He's still really great in that division. He's a top guy, perennial, top 10, top 15, kind of dark horse candidate. So, a loss like that shouldn't set him back too much. He's in a great gym. MMA Lab is a phenomenal gym out of Phoenix, Arizona out there. I believe it's also where Sean O'Malley trains. Does quite a bit out of. I believe Benson Henderson's like a coach or something there, has a lot of experience with it. Since you're taking KO, I think this is going to be a striking fight. Both guys are really good strikers. Delgado obviously has the better power, better technique at this point in his career, is going to be the better striker, which is obviously why we think he's going to win. If you're taking KO, just to be funny, since you're getting it at pretty good odds, and in case his chin does hold up, it's actually surprisingly been a little bit since he's been finished, and I think his last time he was finished, it was actually by a sub. Let's see, yeah, because Melquizel Costa had a guillotine. Yeah, so it's been 2 years since Dan Ige finished him by strikes, so maybe he'll hold up. I like Delgado decision at plus 350 to kind of cover our bases because I do not see this being a grappling fight at all. Don't see it going to the mat unless it's just something crazy that has a 50-50 shot like we see all the time, in which case, hey, what can I do if he's pounding his face in and, he decides to give up the back and get choked out or whatever. It is what it is, but yeah.
Agreed, man. The next one we're talking about is Ian Cutelaba and Umar Sy. Take it away.
Another fight that I just am not that confident about, that I'm just not excited about either one of these guys. Neither one really sticks out. Ian Cutelaba, another classic story of somebody who's been in the UFC a long time. They're not really evolving. They're way too inconsistent to be a champion, to be top 5, to even at this point, even in a pretty shallow light heavyweight, I don't even think he'd be top 10 for much longer, especially if he does lose this fight. I think his main path to victory is if he tries to wrestle. That's pretty much his best shot, but I don't know if he will, because it hasn't really been something that, to my knowledge and recent memory of all the thrilling Cutelaba fights I've been watching since his debut many moons ago in 2016, it doesn't really seem like he tries to make that a core component of his game plan anymore with grappling. I mean, he just lost to Bukauskas by decision, just pretty much outclassed. It was boring as hell, but it was just nothing he could do to Bukauskas, just kind of coasting along. He subbed Ibo Islam. Who cares? Boring. Sleepy Ibu. Beat Ivan Erslan. Is that guy even still in the UFC anymore? Probably not. You lost to Felipe Lenz. Come on. To really just kind of cap it off, I know it's MMA math and we preach it against it on this show, but there was a period in 2022 where instead of man of the year, you were loser of the year, and you got choked out by Ryan Spann, a guy not known for grappling, in round 1. You got choked out by Johnny Walker. Come on now. Come on. You got choked out in round 1 by Johnny Walker. And then Kennedy and Chokwu, which if you've been watching this show, you know exactly how I feel about Kennedy and Chokwu. And I hope you choke on who's something in your mouth, because Kennedy and Chokwu TKO'd this man in round 2. And you just don't recover from something like that. It's kind of that old example. You build 500 bridges, they call you John the Bridge Builder, but if you screw one goat, suddenly you're John the Goat Screwer. That's exactly how I feel about Ian Cutelaba, man. I don't care who he's beat, what he's done. Those 3 losses are forever going to be the guy who got his chicken choked by two guys that should not be choking chickens in 2022. That's all I'm going to say. And Umar Sy, don't get me wrong, this is not a guy that inspires any confidence in me either, because he just very much looks like a manufactured Steve Erstick style hype job just because he's
Yeah.
French and because he trains at like the same place that like Ngannou was training out of before he had that whole little drama with switching gyms. I think Cyril Gone is still there. I mean, it just he's a striker. He's a little flashy little kickboxer. They try to give him these little layup fights and everything, like the Paris card against Ribeiro last September, where he gets a nice little round one finish, but then he has stinkers like he did against Minifield
Yeah.
last summer, which was just puke in the mouth, just
Yeah.
nonsense. And he just hasn't really been challenged because they know they don't want to mess up their next little French developmental project. So they're just giving them these little cutesy matchups to try to keep feeding them, striking finishes in the first, second round. And I think it's going to work again. I mean, he also has, a pretty decent, actually a pretty huge damn reach advantage, 83 inches compared to 75 inches. That's very significant, especially when you are a striker. Height advantage, 6'3" versus 6'1". Age isn't too crazy. 30 for Sai, 32 for Kutatalaba. But once again, Kutatalaba is the guy coming in with all the wear and tear. I don't think it's going to be a vet edge for him on this one either. I mean, I think Sai should, bar something crazy, just absolutely just savage life this man, just do whatever he wants, tear his underwear, just whatever craziness is going on out in the streets nowadays that these young little gangsters are up to or whatever, man. I think Sai's going to do it, and the odds makers do too. Minus 258 money line, plus 210 for Kutajalaba. 17% of bets are on Kutajalaba according to DraftKings, 83% on Sai. Yeah, you're getting Sai KO TKO at a plus 330 and decision at plus 300. Now that's interesting. That
You get
actually
the
is very surprising.
you get the double method, Psy, KO, and decision at plus 110.
That's exactly what I'm going with. And since it's plus odds, that is just insanity to me. Because
I
once again,
agree.
if it does go to grappling, it's Kutatalabo and you're screwed anyway, because that's his best chance, as if he tries to wrestle. And even then, I don't know. Sai did have a pretty little slick roll, little kind of reversal in one of his matches I was watching. So I don't know if he can do that to Coots, but I'm actually going with that double method. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that the number one most likely method here is Psy by submission at plus 180. That kind of took me off guard a little bit to see that. But I am with you 100% here. I like Umar Sy. I like the KO decision because it can be he can be underwhelming, man, which is what we've seen before. And so I could see Kudalaba being a tough guy, fighting it out, making it to the end of the third, and then Sai hopefully getting his hand raised, or I could see Sai catching him, putting him out. Man, I don't see Kudalaba winning this one right now. 83% of bets on Sai, 65% of the money. So we are seeing a good little chunk of sharp money coming in on Ian Kudalaba, but I feel like that's just because this is a guy that's been doing it for a long time, and they're seeing the plus number, and then we've called some of these the old dogs that come fight these kind of hyped up dudes, and then you only have to hit a couple of those versus if you're playing the minus 258 every time. It's gonna be you're gonna have to win a lot more than these sharps do when they're betting these underdogs. So I like Sai here. The only thing giving me any hesitancy here, Bobby, is that it's so I like it so much that it's so juicy. Like I can't believe I almost didn't even look at the double method. I'm glad I did because I thought that KO decision would be damn near equal to the like minus 258 money line. I thought it might be minus 250. Like I'm really, it's making me a little nervous.
Well, I mean, you got to think, though, we have an agent that actually knows these things. It's feeding us the insider info, right? Like there's the
That's fair.
pizza index for when, the Pentagon's ordering all these extra pizzas, staying out late, war plans, all that.
Lobster tails.
exactly. Lobster tails and very, shoe leathery type steak to, serve our military members and whatnot. We have something similar. It's top secret, highly confidential, and it ends up resulting in these bookies dying like dogs. So,
That's good. That's good, Bobby. Let's talk to what Google says is the main fight of the night. Amanda Lemos versus Jillian Robertson. Bobby, I don't have a ton to say about this fight. I mean, that over 2.5 minus 175 is looking pretty attractive. But looking at these two, the very different stages of their careers, I would say like Jillian has had a lot more recent success and she's just climbing up. Whereas Lemos has fought a lot of the big names and kind of just keeps falling down, 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 down. Is this a case of Lemos needs to just retire and be done with it? Or is she taking these losses just because she's fighting some of the best in her weight class? I'm going to be on that side, that she's just fighting really high level competition. I don't think Jillian Roberts is that good. I'm surprised that she just has continued to climb as high as she has. Lemos at plus 170 also. I can get the money line almost 2-1 odds there. I just think Lemos is, if she loses this fight, then I think it's fair to be done with her, to be off of her. Because I feel like the losses she's taken have been decent where I can validate it, be like, okay, yeah, I understand how she lost that. But if she loses against Robertson, I'm just like, man, you're not beating any of these high level guys. So it's gonna be like, I mean, we were seeing Aldo lost to, was it Martinez when he lost to him, and I was like, man, it's really these. I'm not gonna call her a legend, but Lemos has been one of the better fighters in her division. I think she gets it done here against Jillian Robertson. I don't think she makes a comeback, but I think the slide stops here. What do you think?
yeah, I agree with you 100%. The biggest thing that makes me hesitant is the age difference because you got Lemos, who's 38, Robertson's 30. The reason why that gives me hesitancy is just because in women's divisions, they don't have the longevity that men do, kind of regardless of the weight class. I know heavyweight and men's has a better, shelf life, and you can fight, up until like you're 40, 45, if you're really taking care of yourself, etc., like heavyweight. But, you probably have like 35 was the curse at the lower weight classes until Volkanovski actually beat that recently by, having that successful fight in his most recent one. So maybe we'll start to see that change. But for the most part, women's MMA, you just don't have that longevity like the men, especially the men in the higher weight classes and just men in general, right? So, like, if you can fight to 35, even in lighter men's classes, that's not really something you do, especially at, straw weight, 115 pounds of a women's division. That's kind of scary. But like you said, that's how I look at it, right? I mean, you lost to Tatiana Suarez. It's Tatiana Suarez, right? Like, she was forever billed as the number one contender for years in that division until it just didn't work out. Was always, the challenger, etc., the next big thing. She beat Asman Lucendo. I mean, you lose to Jandiroba. Jandiroba's not bad.
No.
You beat Mackenzie Dern, which gives me confidence in this fight because I'm like you. I think Jillian Robertson is a recipient of pretty privilege. I think it's pretty privilege, and I think that, she's had some good wins, but nothing crazy. Like, of course you're going to beat Polyana Viana. Of course you're going to beat Michelle Waterson Gomez in 2024. Luana Pinera. Piera Rodriguez, who's probably not even in the UFC anymore, like Maria Agapova. It's just her
competition's not close.
Exactly. And when she has faced like crazy competition like Maverick, she's lost. And don't get me wrong, I'm actually a really big Jillian Robertson fan since 2019. I was always like evangelizing about Jillian Robertson, and I was even dumb enough to think she could beat Macy Barber. And she did not. Spoiler alert there. But like I do like Jillian Robertson. It's just in this matchup, I don't think it's going to work out for her. And yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. Everything should be against Lemos at this point of her career, but this is a very winnable matchup. She has, a 65-inch reach compared to the 63 for Robertson. She's a little bit shorter in height, but that's a decent reach. She's got power. She's a pretty decent striker. She's not a bad grappler. And I mean, she was able to successfully, not get choked out by Mackenzie Dern, who's probably one of the most credentialed, at least from a grappling BJJ perspective in all of women's MMA right now. With her accomplishments, she wasn't, choked out by her, and she just pieced her up for an easy cruise decision win. And I don't feel like there's anything about Jillian Robertson striking. And in fairness, most fighters, regardless of weight class, there's not much that separates most of their striking from each other.
Mhm.
And Mackenzie Dern is not a good striker. Jillian Robertson's striking is not that much different than Mackenzie Dern's. It should hopefully for Lemos be a pretty decent decision, if not a KO TKO. She can really get some shots landing, and she catches Robertson kind of getting desperate for a takedown, kind of getting sloppy, walking forward with some bad shots, that sort of thing. And especially when you're getting Lemos at a plus 170, minus 205 for Robertson, that's just what's most shocking to me is I'm just not seeing that. I'm not seeing why the 74% of the bets are on Robertson. I'm just not understanding that. And I mean, you got a KO TKO for Lemos at plus 650 and a decision at plus 300. It's just wild to me. What if I doubled up on those? What would that give me if I did KO decision? Because it's not going to be a sub. If it's going to be a sub, then Robertson's the one getting it, I would think. So I don't want to get too crazy there.
Lemos KO decisions plus 175.
All right, that's what I'm going with then. So just be
You
a
only
little
get
steep.
plus 5 more.
Oh, that's true.
So
Yeah, that's true. All right, yeah, I'll just do that. Good point. Thanks for pointing that out. I'll just stick with my line then.
Just to be safe.
Right. Yeah, because hey,
the 5 cents.
She does have those. She does have those sub wins, and we've seen that. I'm forever going to be bitching about that Vincius Oliveira when I said Batista KO TKO. Yeah, and it's like, oh, I'm tired of getting my face caved in. Let me just start flopping around here. Let me do a little floppy, and then
Molly McCann's like one submission win.
Right, yeah. Just Molly McCann just throwing herself into subs, just being a little subby, Molly McCann out there. So yeah, you raise a good point. I'm trying not to get too crazy. I appreciate you reeling me in there.
I have to. I'm glad you agree with me. And the sharp, I forgot to mention it earlier. 74% of the bets, 77% of the money on Robertson. So 3% sharply on Robertson there too. I don't think Vegas is going to have any problem paying out the 23% at the plus 164. Like, I think they're going to be fine with that and take home 77% of that pot. Yeah. I think they're going to be fine with that.
Right.
Let's get to that main fight of the night, man. This is going to be a good fight. It's a little bit difficult to break down. It's Josh Emmett versus Kevin Vallejos. Take it away, man.
Yeah, this would be a fun fight. It's a good main event. It just sucks that it doesn't have the best supporting cast. I'm another Josh Emmett guy. I really like Josh Emmett. I've been a huge fan of his. Time waits for nobody in this sport. We just got done talking about the age cliff. Josh Emmett actually doesn't have a lot of fights. Unfortunately, he had to recover from a lot of health issues after the whole Jeremy Stevens debacle. Obligatory fuck Jeremy Stevens. And hey, he came back from a hellacious period of just vertigo and just insane, eye problems and orbital bone problems and everything else from that loss. And he's had an amazing career and has went on a hell of a tear after that. And it's been amazing. And he didn't even take that long off. I thought it was a lot longer layoff. He lost February 2018. And then came right back in March 2019 with a KO of Michael Johnson. I vividly remember it's one of my favorite cards I watched. That Barboza Gaethje card was just electric around this time in 2019. Beat him, Mirsad Bektik, Shane Burgos, Dan Ige, Calvin Cater, and then 18-2, and then he's been skidding since 2023. Let's just be honest. But I mean, he's lost to Yair Rodriguez. Yair Rodriguez isn't bad. He's definitely not a guy who's going to advance much further in the division at this point in his career. But at that time, definitely somebody who was challenging for the belt shortly thereafter against Volkanovski. Topuria, enough said. No shame in getting your ass beat by Ilya Toptoro. Bop, 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 bop. Grab him by the scruff of his chest. Beat Bryce Mitchell. Yeah. Ilya Toptoro. Bryce Mitchell, he beat Bryce Mitchell. I mean, Bryce Mitchell's not a good striker. It was a vicious KO. No shame in losing to Leron Murphy. We're going to see him in action next week. And then Yusuf Zalal. I don't like Yusuf Zalal. You know that on the show. But, hey, I can acknowledge that he's improved and he's gotten better. So no shame in losing there. But you're now 41. You don't have a whole lot of fights. You're 19-6 professionally, so only 25 matches to be 41. But you're definitely starting to slow down. You're starting to kind of skid out. When you're starting to rack up losses, even if they're to elite guys like that, you're staring down 1-4 in your last 5. If you lose this next one, you can be cut. I just mentioned it earlier on the show. Sometimes, like with Harry Hardwick, if your back's against the wall, you kind of rise to the occasion. I'm just not too sure that Josh Emmett's just going to be able to do this against Kevin Vallejos, because Kevin Vallejos is just way too good of a striker. He's way too good at controlling the distance. He's too technical.
Amazing.
Yeah, and Emmett, this is just a classic story of Emmett. He struggles until he can try to find the one-punch knockout. And if the one-punch knockout doesn't come, then he just handily loses a unanimous decision. He's just like a statue. He's just too stationary. He's just like his nickname, the Falmer in Skyrim, where, I mean, he's just kind of blind. He's just stumbling around in the darkness. He just kind of like, if you get close enough and you're not in the sneak mode, he might be able to like mollywop you a few times and kill you, just overwhelm you with his sheer presence once you're like right on top of him. But other than that, you can just, stealth archer him and just walk around, go to the next spot, and just lower his health bar until he's gone. Yeah. And it's what Topuria did. It was a crazy situation with the triangle choke. That's kind of an outlier, but I mean, it's what Leron Murphy did. Same was Zalal. I don't think it's going to be grappling. I think Kevin Vallejos is just going to pick them apart. It's a 5-round fight. And it sounds crazy because Toptoro, it's another thing. I'm calling him that ironically, and it's going to stick. Topuria, it sounds crazy because Topuria couldn't finish him. And Topuria, as we know, is probably one of the hardest hitters in that division in recent memory, if not all time. The guy's just got the touch of death.
Yeah.
But, man, I kind of wonder if Vallejos might be able to do it just because it kind of seems prime for that time, right? Like we never thought it would happen to Dan Ige. Oh, except I did. With Melquizel Costa.
Right.
We never thought it was going to happen to Dan Ige. Maybe it's going to happen to Josh Emmett. Maybe Delgado, instead of just decisioning him to death. I mean, he does have 71% of his wins, by TKO. Maybe, just maybe. I mean, let's check out the odds because who knows? I get a little crazy. Sometimes you have to remind me to pull up my pants. This is a public event, and I just can't be out there just cranking it crazy style with the hog out, out there in a public place like that. I mean, gosh, damn. Yeah, I can't even disagree with this really because you're banking on that one punch, like the Michael Johnson fight. That was actually another fight. Emmett was losing until he was like, all right, he found that one punch, but Michael Johnson was just dancing around him. Right. I mean, Michael Johnson's also kind of the king of winning until he's not, just like the Drew Dober fight that we called for Drew Dober and got some plus money for you guys. But still, it's still just very concerning I mean, that he's just kind of losing. I was surprised that he beat Ige. I was surprised that he beat Burgos and Calvin Kattar, because Calvin Kattar was that was a very close fight, though. That was about to be, until there was some funny business going on. Another one he should have honestly lost. And I just can't disagree that you're getting him at a plus 400, because that's really all you have. It's not going to be a grappling match. If it goes to a decision, he's not going to be the one winning it. And then minus 535 for Vallejos. You want to try to find a reason to justify it, but that's how I got trapped with the LaRon Murphy thing last time, and I ended up looking just silly. You got 82% of bets are on Vallejos, 18% are on Emmett. And actually, you're not even getting anything except sub good for Vallejos, which sucks, because I thought KO TKO would be better. You're only getting it at plus 110. Decisions plus 175, and then sub is plus 700. So that all just sucks. It's kind of shocking. I didn't think people would be so heavy on the KO TKO there. I thought that'd be like at least a plus 200 or something. So honestly, at this point, none of that inspires enough confidence in me to really do anything other than money line. You're just losing on this fight. If you're taking Vallejos, like most people, I'm sure probably are. And like I said, if you bet Emmett, I get it. It's very tempting. You know, when you have that type of fight-changing power and you've seen it play out, it's addicting. You get caught up in it. You always think that the good times are going to roll. But just after being on the wrong end of that with the whole LaRon Murphy thing and like another fight of his that I was on, I'm just going to go Vallejos money line and just accept the fact that if you're on Vallejos, you're just kind of getting host. What do you think?
I think it's kind of funny because you can do Vallejos KO decision double method at minus 500. It's like at that point, you can just throw half a unit on Vallejos KO, TKO, DQ, and a half a unit on decision, and that way you're gonna make money no matter what. It's like
Right.
if you do even a full unit on the minus 500, you're making nothing. You're making nothing. So
you're just getting screwed.
You are. So I'm with you here, and you know what? Looking at the money is very interesting. This one, the money is actually split, like you said, is 82 to 18% in the bets. It's split 50-50 for the money, and there's no way that Vegas is paying out 50% of the money, only getting to keep 50%, but then having to pay out that 50% at plus 410.
No. They'll call the FBI or something like they did with the Michael Johnson Drew Dober fight before they do that.
See, we didn't call that one.
They'll be calling Daddy Patel to come fucking bail them out. They'll be like, Daddy, come save us. Daddy Patel, please.
Right. So huge sharp lean for Emmett here. And once again, it only takes one punch, just the kiss of death from Emmett to in Vallejos. Vallejos doesn't seem like as much of the power puncher, although he does have powerful hands. I should say he's probably not as powerful as Emmett, but he is going to beat Emmett in volume every single time. And it's not going to be close. Like, I really, really like Kevin Vallejos. I think he's a bright star in the UFC that's coming up. I think not enough people know about him, but this one will put him on the map. Man, it's like it makes you want to do a KO or a decision, but it's so hard to pick, man.
I was gonna say, man, hey, all I know is if you're betting on Josh Emmett and he does win this weekend, stay the fuck away from me, because you're going to jail. Your ass is about to go do Fed time. If you bet on Josh Emmett, you better erase that receipt. You better destroy that slip. You better burn it, bury it, and you better shut up and not tell anybody where that money came from.
Yeah, you better not post that.
Yeah, because if you're betting on him and he wins this weekend, I'm telling you, you're doing Fed time. So don't snitch. Don't snitch on yourself.
And the craziest, I was just gonna say, the craziest thing about it is that you get Emmett at plus 410 money line. if you're gonna take Emmett, he's not gonna get the submission. He's not gonna win by decision. Just take Emmett plus 900 at KO TKO. Like there's literally no reason to take Emmett money line.
Right, and if he wins at that, part of my condition of my parole is I can't be around known gang members and affiliates, and I can't be around people that are in illegal activity. So please don't tell me, and please get the hell away from me because I can't go back to jail.
just cause we always hit on the ones that get flagged doesn't mean anything about us. We're just warning you guys. We're just warning you guys.
Right, we're trying to tell you, keep it to yourself. Take the money in cash. Don't put it in the bank and hide it somewhere.
Yeah, bury it.
Yeah. And don't tell anybody.
Before we get to Haymaker, we're going to talk about our flip finishing fighter. I had to wait for the graphic to end. I think I was talking over it. I apologize. The flip finishing fighter brought to you by Fuck Surroundy Bill. Guys, I'm going all the way down to the second fight of the night with Elijah Smith and Su Young Yu, and we are taking Elijah Smith to win by KO at plus 350.
Oh,
about 350.
And you've been hitting that the past 2 weeks since it started, right?
It's been hit nice. I didn't hit last week because last week I did. I was right that somebody was going to get finished KO or sub. I was just on the wrong guy. I was on Bruno Fiera instead of RoboCop.
Oh, yeah, I was too. That was crazy because all the stats and everything else were on our side too. We had the odd shark, we had all that, and it just that's the way she goes sometimes, man.
Exactly. We took a shot. We're taking another shot again. The KO Elijah Smith at the plus 350. And then we, like I said, to start the show, we had the Bet MGM ones. I feel like they never miss. I swear, I don't know if we've missed one yet with those graphics. And that was just to start round 4. That one was easy. I think that was minus 135. But Bobby, let's finish out here with the Haymaker. What do you have?
Yeah, so we got the Haymaker, and then on the update on the post-fight press conference conspiracy last week, it was Max Holloway, but Max Holloway did not win. Mm-mm. So this week, they actually don't have a thumbnail that I can find at all. So they're being sneaky. They're being sneaky and covering the butt. So I don't have one for this week. But we're going to continue that. So far, there's not a conspiracy because Max Holloway didn't win, and that's who they had up until they officially replaced Oliveira for it as the official thumbnail now. So the plot thickens when it comes to that. And when it comes to the Haymaker, we're going to take a look. Do I dare go Vallejos sub at plus 700, considering how he's been subbed lately by people you wouldn't think? Yeah, it's too tempting, but I think it's not going to happen. Seems kind of like a bit too crazy for even me, I must say.
That is pretty crazy.
Wowzers, that's crazy. Did I go with the Amanda Lemos double method?
You went with the money line because the double method was just plus 175.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Maybe I'll come back to her. That's looking kind of tantalizing there.
Umar Sai was plus 330 KO, 180 sub, 300 decision.
That's actually still not bad, too. That's a tantalizing one.
Delgado, minus 110 KO.
Yeah, that one was terrible. Yeah. Are you going to make me an Umar Sai fan? Are you going to make me like him, that little French bastard? Oh, baguette, monsieur, in me pants. You know what? Should we do the Omar Sy KO TKO at plus 330? It's not too bad.
I guess you either have to do her or Lemos.
Right. Those are the two I'm between. And I think Lemos could get it done too, but for some reason, I'm really thinking Umar Sy head kick KOs Kutatalaba.
Ooh,
That's what I keep thinking happens.
head kick.
Because
Okay, I like that.
Kutatalaba he just walks forward all stupid and sloppy with his hands down. And that's how he had that stupid meme loss to Ankalaev. He lost to Ankalaev like 3 times because people kept thinking there's no way he's going to lose in that stupid of a fashion to Ankalaev again, right? Like it's just like such a fluke that he basically got like disconnected from the controller with how he lost, right? Like there's no way, dude. And sure enough, they just kept like it was like a joke that Kutatalaba didn't realize, he was the butt of. And it's like February 2020, he got head kicked and punch finished by Ankalaev. And everybody was like, oh, it's fine. It was round 1. It was kind of fluky. The ref was indecisive. And they rescheduled it a few months later for October 2020. And surprise, round 1 finished again the same way, damn near. So I could see that actually happening with Sai. I feel like Kutatalaba is going to come forward. He's going to be reckless. He's going to be ridiculous. Sai already has some pretty crazy head kick knockouts, some dexterous legs there. I think he gets it done with the head kick. I'm going with that for the haymaker.
Okay. I love it, man. As always, make sure you're following us on all of our socials. That way, the graphics that we're talking about, you guys get to see those. Those get posted throughout Friday and Saturday leading up to the fights. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back next week with another great card. We'll see you guys then. Peace, guys.
Peace.